Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at noon starts now.
Painful and shocking revelations in the courtroom.
I wish I could take it back. I just didn't know what to do.
As Zion Foster's cousin is sentenced for lying to police.
Her mom at one point talked to me and I couldn't bring myself, but your daughter just died.
A scathing indictment from a heartbroken mother.
What if you were so high you didn't know she was alive and you just threw her in a dumpster in the cold without a coat? This cannot be rectified, and we will never have closure.
Those courtroom proceedings and victim impact statements top our news here at noon. The emotion in that courtroom was very palpable. You may recall Zion Foster has been missing since January 5th. The 17-year-old left home to hang out with her cousin, 17-year-old Jalen Brazier, on Detroit's west side. However, Foster never came home. Brazier was in court today for sentencing. Our Victor Williams has more on what happened, and it was very emotional, Victor.
Yes, Rhonda, very emotional indeed. One very sad sentencing. You really feel for the victim's mother. Take a look at some of the video from inside the courtroom. Jalen Brazier has now been sentenced to 23 months to 4 years in prison for allegedly lying to police about his role in his cousin Zion Foster's death. If you guys recall, this was the 17-year-old that went missing back in early January. Her body has still yet to be recovered. Jalen, however, later admitted to dumping her body into a dumpster after saying he blacked out while on marijuana. Zion's mother spoke in the courtroom, making a very emotional victim impact statement where she explained she's now robbed of the relationship she has with her daughter and how she'll never forgive her own family member.
We were supposed to be planning her prom, her dress and colors. I'm still getting emails from the school right now for graduation pictures. I will never forgive you, Jalen. And it may not matter, but I hope that your children grow up without you so that they can be better.
And we'll hear more from what went down in the courtroom from both Zion's mother as well as Jalen. Victor Williams, Local 4.
Oh, your heart goes out to that mother. Victor, thank you. Also making headlines this noon, prosecutors just rested their case in the Governor Whitmer kidnap trial. This comes as we are learning FBI agents raided a home after death threats targeted the judge and attorneys that are involved right now in this trial. So let's send it out to Sean Lay. He joins us now live with more on what you're learning about this.
A lot at this noon hour so far, Rhonda. Good afternoon to you. The FBI right now at this hour taking those threats extremely seriously. We've learned today the threats were made online, and the evidence trail of the online threat led the FBI here to this street and a home here in Hazel Park. But it's important to point out, even after questioning a man inside the home for a long time, no charges have been filed and no one was arrested. The man answering the door at this home on Jarvis and Hazel Park told the Local 4 defenders that he was not interested in talking about the FBI activity at the home this past Friday morning. He did confirm that no arrests were made and no one has been charged. Our cameras were there, however, when FBI agents raided the home based on threats being made connected to the Governor Whitmer kidnapping trial. So far, no specifics from the FBI on what those threats were, but we do know that the target of the threats is the judge presiding over the kidnapping case, U.S. District Judge Robert Yonker. 2 defense attorneys also received threats as well. Christopher Gibbons, who's defending alleged ringleader Adam Fox, and attorney Josh Blanchard, who's defending another key member of the case, Barry Croft. Judge Yonker and the attorneys are in court right now in Grand Rapids for day 13 of the trial. Defense attorneys at this hour are asking the court for an acquittal. They argue due to a lack of evidence on each count in the case. Just got off the phone with a representative from the FBI telling me at this hour, quote, FBI Detroit will work closely with other FBI field offices and with our law enforcement partners across the country to identify the source of any threat made to anyone involved with the ongoing prosecution in Grand Rapids. Individuals found responsible for making threats in violation of state and/or federal law will be referred for prosecution in the appropriate jurisdiction. All right, moving on now. The trial, again, underway for day 13 in Grand Rapids. The defense is up next. We'll break it all down for you coming up at 5 and 6, Rhonda.
All right, Sean, thank you. Turning our attention now to the war in Ukraine, Russian units suffering heavy losses on the ground have been forced to return to Belarus and Russia to, quote, reorganize and resupply. This is all according to Britain's defense ministry. However, the defense ministry warned that Russia would likely compensate for its reduced capability on the ground through mass artillery and missile strikes. This comes as both U.S. and Ukrainian officials have expressed skepticism over claims from Russia that it would drastically reduce military operations around Ukraine's capital of Kyiv. The vow was made as peace talks continue in Turkey between Russia and Ukraine, and Jacob Soborov has the latest from Western Ukraine.
As Russians and Ukrainians negotiate over a potential peace deal in Istanbul, Turkey, there is a deep and profound sense of distrust for anything the Russians say when you talk to people here on the ground in Ukraine. And that includes in the context of this peace deal or potential peace deal itself. The Russians had indicated that they would pull out or start to pull out from Kyiv and Chernihiv, and the opposite happened overnight. Attacks in both places, according to local officials and reports on the ground. And there's a sense of deja vu for people here in the western part of the country. On Saturday, I stood right here and reported that a top Russian general said Russians were going to continue their offensive, but only in the east of this country. And hours later, 2 missile strikes miles away from where I'm standing right now, in what had been a place of relative peace, of sanctuary and security for the millions of internally displaced people who have transited through this city of 700,000 on their way to seek safety in the countries of NATO's eastern flank, on the eastern flank of those NATO countries. And so when you hear President Zelensky this morning, and I'm paraphrasing, say that he doesn't trust what Russians say because what the Russians say doesn't match the realities on the ground, that's what the Ukrainian people will tell you as well. And they say they've heard it all before. Jacob Soborov, NBC News, Lviv.
All right, Jacob, thank you. And of course, you can keep it right here with Local 4 News, along with clickondetroit.com for our continuing coverage of the war in Ukraine. As new information comes into our newsroom, as you know, we will always keep you updated. And we do want to turn to today's forecast and what happened the last 24 hours and what's happening now as we take a look at our sky cam. Not a whole lot of sun, Brandon, but we know the temperatures are climbing.
Parts of the area are getting a little sun out near Howell, 43, a little warmer there, but the warm air coming from the south is slow to get going, so be patient. Your patience will be rewarded, especially after a messy morning. But we have still upper 30s north of M59, lower 40s south of M59, and we're a good 5-10 degrees warmer than we were at noon on Tuesday. Part of that is being helped by the south-southeast winds, anywhere from 10 to 20 at times today. And a warm front is still down into Indiana, working its way here. So a little spit and drizzle here through the midday, not much. We will see temps eventually taking off to the upper 50s and low 60s by the late afternoon. Rhonda?
Okay, thank you, Brandon. Macomb County officials come together to share their response to a rate increase approved by the Great Lakes Water Authority. Last month, the GLWA approved an increase of 3.7% starting July 1st for the 2023 fiscal year. Sewer charges are also going up 2.4%. The GLWA says that almost half of the sewer increase is a bad debt expense recovery attributed to Highland Park only paying half of its sewer bill from 2012 through 2021, a 9-year period. Officials say that something must be done.
We need some leadership from the state to help us resolve this problem. And we are partners. Not only are we partners, we are the Great Lakes Water Authority. We are a member. So when we talk about some of the things we're willing to do here today, we recognize it's sort of hurting ourselves, but we have to bring this thing to a head.
And we will keep you updated on what happens on clickondetroit.com. You can check out there for further updates on all of that. Meanwhile, Governor Whitmer has just signed a historic bill into law this morning in Grand Rapids. The Building Michigan Together plan includes the largest infrastructure investments in our state's history. Nearly $5 million will go into roads, water, high-speed internet, and more.
This is a bipartisan plan that truly is fiscally responsible and will make some of the largest infrastructure investments in our state's history at a time where we need that more than ever. Building on work that we have been doing to fix our roads and upgrade pipes and dams and so much more.
The Building Michigan Together plan will also invest in several local parks in Detroit. $60 million will go to the Joe Louis Greenway, which will be so beautiful when it's done. So to come, why you'll likely be paying premium for gas and groceries without relief for a while.